Welcome back to another episode of SmoothBrainEDH, where we make the smoothest plays with the biggest brains. We've got another exciting game for you all this week, so let's see what our players brought to the table. First up is Ivern on Melek, Reforged Researcher. This Izzet deck is a spellslinger deck, hoping to fill up the yard to get a large Melek on the field and cast a bunch of instants and sorceries to power out a win. Next up is Shelby on Terra, Magical Adept. This 5-color deck is a Sagas deck, hoping to play all the powerful Enchantress cards in all colors to commit some awesome Sagas to the board and overtake his opponents. Third is Tanner on Kefka, Court Mage. This Grixis deck is focused around forcing discard, using Kefka as a way to generate card advantage and close out the game after transforming. Last is Chandler on Cloud X Soldier. This Naya deck is an equipment deck, suiting up creatures with powerful artifacts and Cloud helping by giving free equips, treasures, and drawing cards. We're about to hop right into the game. If you enjoyed the video, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to further support the channel, please consider becoming a YouTube member. We have links to our social media pages, our free public Discord server, and the Decklist in the description. We're partnered with Dragon Shield. Check out our affiliate link in the description if you're looking to pick up any sleeves, deck boxes, or playmats, and use code SMOOTH5 at checkout for 5% off your order. Now, on to the gameplay.
And it looks like Chandler wins the die roll. He'll start off with a Taiga, and he'll cast a Delighted Halfling with it, and then the turn is passed to Ethan. Ethan plays Volcanic Island, and he'll pass to Shelby, who plays a Wooded Foothills, and then he'll pass to Tanner. And then Tanner has one hell of a turn. He'll go Training Center, into Sol Ring, into Arcane Signet, into Blood Chief's Ascension. Dear Lord. And at some point during that, Shelby fetches for a Jetmir's Garden. Then the turn is passed to Chandler. He'll start off with a Windswept Heath, and then he'll cast 3 Visits, and he goes ahead and fetches with that Heath as well. This will get him a Lush Portico and a Jetmir's Garden, and then he'll pass to Ethan. Surveil puts Nibelheim Aflame into the graveyard. Now on Ethan's turn, he'll just play Sulphur Falls and pass to Shelby, who just plays a tapped Godless Shrine and passes to Tanner. Alright, Tanner just needs an untapped land, and he'll have a turn 2 Kefka. He plays Scalding Tarn. It is used to fetch for an island, and then Kefka hits the field. Everyone has to discard a card. Chandler discards Sword of Feast and Famine, Ethan Sundering Eruption, Shelby Summoner's Grimoire, and Tanner Pongify, so Tanner gets to draw 3 cards. And then the turn is passed to Chandler. He'll start off by shocking in a Temple Garden, and this will trigger Blood Chief's Ascension on end step. Then he'll tap for 3 and cast Forge Anew. This returns Sword of Feast and Famine from the graveyard to the battlefield, and now he's able to free equip it to his Delighted Halfling. I'm getting some major deja vu from this, because the last time Kefka was at the table, Mono White Cloud was at the table, and he got to discard Buster Sword and Forge Anew it back. Anyways, moving on, Chandler will then cast an Esper Sentinel, and it's at this point Shelby decides he wants to respond. He will Swords to Plowshare the Delighted Halfling. The turn is then passed to Ethan, and he'll play an Otuara's land for a turn, and then cast Wheel of Fortune. One is not paid. So everyone discards their hand and draws 7. I'll let these nerds tell you what is discarded.
There's 3 lands in a Nature's Lore.
I'm going to discard a Pirate's Pillage, Shadow Skull Smashing, Fiery Islet, Chaos Warp, and Drown Dreams.
A Bikini Bottom Swamp, Ephemerate, Eidolon of Blossoms, Chromatic Lantern, and a Summon Fenrir. I'm going to discard a Morphic Pool, a Tonberry, a Scrawling Crawler, a Riverglide Pathway, a Library of Link, and a Mega.
Alright, that's what they discarded. They'll then draw 7, and then the turn is passed to Shelby. He'll start off with a Rafine's Tower, and then he'll cast Ripples of Undeath, one not paid. The turn is then passed to Tanner, and he'll start off with a Molten Tributary. He'll then follow that up with Liliana's Caress. Then he'll move to combat, and 4 is swung over at Ethan. There is an attack trigger, and this time Tanner's opponents put their 3 brain cells together and agree to discard a land. So this time 3 lands and Kefka Dancing Mad are discarded, and Tanner will draw 2. Also, Liliana's Caress triggers all around. And then Ethan takes his 4 commander. Tanner will then pass the turn, and Blood Chiefs gets another counter. Chandler will begin his turn by free equipping the sword to the Sentinel. Then he'll tap for 3 and cast Buster Sword. It is then also equipped to the Esper Sentinel. Then 6 damage is swung over at Tanner, who just has to take it. There are some combat damage triggers. Sword of untaps Chandler's lands, and Tanner has to discard a card, and then Chandler gets to draw a card, and then free cast Kutzil off of the Buster Sword. The card Tanner discarded was Will of the Abzan, and then the turn is passed to Ethan. He'll play a basic mountain and then pass to Shelby. Must have some instant or something. On Shelby's pre-combat main phase, he mills a land, 3 visits, and summon Veilfur. He'll then pay 1 mana and 3 life to return 3 visits to his hand. He'll then play a command tower and then cast said 3 visits. Chandler then says, "Do you pay the 6?" Shelby does not. He gets Spar's headquarter and then passes the turn, but some shenanigans happen on end step. there is a Bloodchief Ascension counter, and this will be its third, which activates it, so Chandler will respond to the trigger by attempting to get lost it. Tanner, however, has an offer Chandler cannot refuse, so instead of it being destroyed, Chandler gets 2 treasure tokens. And believe it or not, the 6 is once again not paid. Then, still in response to the Bloodchief trigger, Ethan will find a big score. He discards Fling and does not pay the 6. Then he'll get 2 treasures, 2 cards, and Tanner gets his counter, and then finally we'll move to Tanner's turn, where he'll start off with a Geothermal Bog. And then he'll cast Bandit's Talent, and each of his opponents have to discard 2 cards unless they discard a non-land card. And no, he does not pay the 6. Esper Sentinel is eating. On to discards, Chandler discards Swiftfoot Boots, Ethan entered the Enigma, and Shelby Yuna. And then between the Liliana's Caress and the Ascension, they all lose 4 life, and Tanner gains a total of 6. After this, he'll cast a Monument of Endurance, and then he'll move to combat. Kefka is swung over at Shelby. Everybody has to discard a card again. And the 3 brain cells work together again to each discard a creature. It's Dogmeat from Chandler, Pinnacle Monk from Ethan, and Spark Double from Shelby. And Tanner discards Tiny Bones, so he'll actually only draw 1 card from this. Everyone loses another 4, and Tanner gains 6 again. Monument of Endurance will also trigger, and Tanner makes a treasure. And then because so many things happen because of an attack trigger, the actual attack is forgotten, and Tanner and Shelby forget the 4 command damage. So they move past it, and in second main, Tanner casts a Baleful Strix and draws an additional card. Then he passes the turn to Chandler, who starts off with a Command Beacon, then he'll tap for 2 and cast Cloud. Midgar Mercenary though. He goes to see if there's any equipment that can help them kill Tanner this turn. There's not, but he does find a Sun Forger, which will help them deal with his board. So that is tutored to hand, and then he'll tap for 3 to cast it, and then using Forge Anew, he'll free equip it to the Esper Sentinel, then move to combat. Tanner is bonked for 10. And a few combat damage triggers go on the stack. With them all on the stack, Chandler decides to respond to them by unequipping the Sun Forger to go find an instant. It's Stroke of Midnight. He targets that darn Bloodchief Ascension again, and this time it is destroyed and Tanner gets a 1/1. Then let's resolve those abilities. Top a stack is Cootseal, so he'll draw a card. Next is Buster Sword, so he'll draw a card. Then free cast Armored Skyhunter. And then finally, Sword of Feast and Famine will have Tanner discard Xander's Lounge and Chandler untaps his lands. And then Tanner says he has a monument trigger and he makes a treasure, but he forgets to actually put it out until on Shelby's turn. Then, post-combat, Chandler will slap the Sun Forger on Cloud, and then just pass the turn to Ethan, who will play an island and then jam Melek. And thanks to Melek being out, Ethan now casts Chandra's Ignition targeting Melek. 6 not paid. Ethan counts as graveyard, and Melek is currently an 18-18. Priority goes around the table, and it stops at Chandler, who responds with a heroic intervention. It resolves and saves his board, but, you know, everybody still takes 18. Youch. Anyways, now the turn is passed to Shelby. Pre-combat main phase, he mills Sithis, Summon Titan, and Arcane Signet to his Ripples of Undeath, and he doesn't pay to return anything. Then he'll play a Hall of Heliod's Generosity, and then follow it up with a Replenish, and he does not pay the 6. It resolves, so he returns Sithis, Summon Titan, Summon Valefor, Summon Fenrir, and Eidolon of Blossoms to the battlefield. A few triggers go on the stack. To start, he draws 5 off of his Eidolon. Then Valefor makes Ethan and Chandler each return a creature to their hand. Then Fenrir gets Shelby a tapped basic forest. And then Titan mills him 5 cards. Those are the World Tree, Anguished Unmaking, Sacred Foundry, Polluted Delta, and Utopia Sprawl. He'll then cast Clash of the Icons, and he chooses to put another lore counter on his Summoned Titan, so he gets a bunch of lands back to the battlefield tapped. 7 to be exact. Yowza. And then the turn is passed to Tanner. The first thing he does is play a Bajuka Bog and exile Chandler's graveyard. He'll then follow that up by recasting Kefka.
He's back!
The 3 brain cells agree to discard a creature. Chandler discards the Armored Skyhunter, Ethan Archmage of Runes, Shelby Tom Bombadil, and Tanner will discard a Negate and draw 2 cards. His opponents then lose 2 life to Liliana's Caress, and off the Monument of Endurance, he decides to go for more life loss. And then the turn is passed to Chandler. He starts off with a basic Plains, and then he'll tap for 2 and cast Dawn's Truce. He does promise the gift to Tanner, so he gets Hexproof till end of turn, and his permanents get Hexproof and Indestructible till end of turn. And then for 1 mana, Chandler casts Blasphemous Act. And since Cootseal is out, nobody has any responses, so the board is wiped, except for Chandler's. He'll then follow that up with an Endaril, Flame of the West, and he'll use his Forge Anew free equip to put it onto Cloud. And then after this, he'll move to combat. Cloud and Esper Sentinel go over at Tanner, and Cootseal will go over at Shelby. Double attack triggers from Cloud will make 4 spirits tapped and attacking Tanner as well. which makes this attack both lethal to Shelby and Tanner, so they are knocked out of the game, and Chandler has some damage triggers. To start, he'll draw a card off Quetzal, and then off Buster Sword, and then he gets to free cast a Kiri, and then he'll untap his lands, and Tanner's dead, so no need discarding a card. The turn is then passed to Ethan. Let's see what he can do. He'll start off with a Frantic Search. Fair, so he'll draw 2 and discard 2, then untap 3 lands. And no, he does not pay the 6. He'll then play Melek and then pass the turn, hoping he can block some damage. Chandler will start his turn off with Iganjo, Seat of the Empire. Then he'll unequip Sunforger from Cloud. This will get him Path to Exile, and he'll target Melek with it. Ethan was really hoping this would happen, but he forgot about the Quetzal, so he had a deflecting slot in hand. So Melek is exiled, and Ethan gets a basic to the battlefield tapped. Alright, let's see if Chandler can now count to 21. He'll use his Forge Anew free equip to equip Kiri with Sunforger. Then he'll cast Cloud X Soldier, and on ETB, he'll equip the Buster Sword. It's canon. And then after a quick count, everything on board is a total of 28 power. So yeah, he just turns everything sideways, and Ethan is dead. And that makes Chandler and Cloud the winners. Congratulations. Alright, welcome to the end of the video. First things first, holy crap, Tanner had a great start there. Bloodchief's Ascension on turn 1 is already good, but getting Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Bloodchief's Ascension, like, oh my god. And it took 2 removal spells to get rid of it, and think about what would have happened to poor Shelby, the self-mill deck, if that Bloodchief stayed around. Also, I just personally find the idea of a giant Esper Sentinel really funny. Do you pay the X is hilarious. Cause like, even if they had 6 mana to pay, nobody is paying it to deny Chandler 1 card. Anyways, let us know what you guys thought of this game down in the comments below. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. But that's enough out of me for today. I hope you all have a smooth day.